Hi, my name is Cody Dunne, and I'll be talking about the mental and physical effects of scuba diving. Scuba diving is still a very new concept and was only first discovered in 1942 by Jacques Cousteau and Emile Gagnon, who co-invented a demand valve system that would supply divers with compressed air when they breathed. This modern demand regulatory was named aqualung, and its invention eventually opened the door to diving for anyone who was interested. Even though the modern design of scuba diving is fairly new, there was a general concept we had back then ranging back to the 1700s.
As long ago as 1720, astronomer Halley invented a diving bell that could go down to 10 fathoms. Air was stored in a barrel and fed through a leather tube, and another tube brought air to the diver, who wore a helmet of skin.
It's cool to see the first couple inventions made for scuba diving. Another example is the steel shell, where someone would stand inside the tiny machine and go down 1,300 feet to look around at the wildlife through the windows. A common mistake people make when going scuba diving for the first time is not popping your ears, which is especially important when you're dropping depth. I myself have gone scuba diving, and the first time in the ocean I dropped down to 60 feet and had not been blowing my nose to make my ears pop, causing my ears to ache, my nose to bleed, and my head to ache. Scuba diving is one of the most dangerous sports in the world, but can be really safe if the proper precautions are made. Now let's look at the mental and physical effects of scuba diving. The first big effect is dive-related barotrauma. This is during descent and ascent in the water. A diver is constantly exposed to changes in ambient pressure. It's when there's tissue damage that occurs when a gas-filled space fails to equalize. Then, with pulmonary barotrauma, it is the most severe form of barotrauma. It only occurs during ascent when ambient pressure decreases, but the gas inside the lungs will expand in volume, and if the gas can't escape underwater, it will cause surrounding tissue to tear. That's why it's important to ascend slowly while scuba diving and keep a good breathing pattern. Next is decompression sickness, which is caused by the release of gas inert bubbles, which are made up of nitrogen, go into the bloodstream and tissue after pressure is decreased. Formation of bubbles depend on the length of time at depth and rate of ascent. If the pressure of ascent is too quick, the bubbles will form in the blood and organs, such as the brain. The symptoms include headache, unusual tiredness, fatigue, and cause joint pain and muscular weakness. And some of the symptoms, if serious, can be fatal, such as damage to the spinal cord. The next mental effect of scuba diving is very common, and many divers experience this. It's headaches. Many possible reasons for a headache would be for migraine headaches, exposure to cold or sinus barotrauma, and a tight face mask. If a migraine forms during a dive, the dive should be canceled immediately in case of emergency. Finally is oxygen toxicity, which is a condition resulting from harmful effects of breathing molecular oxygen at increased partial pressures. The higher the oxygen, the shallower the dive to minimize the possibility of getting oxygen toxicity. Symptoms develop underwater at a depth without warning and can cause focal seizures, vertigo, nausea, visual constriction, and respiratory changes. These seizures, although rare, are often fatal at depth, unfortunately. To end on a good note, all these effects and symptoms sound bad, but it can easily be avoided with proper precautions, and especially if you dive with a professional. Thank you for watching.